Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm your host, Lex.
I'm the other host, Dan.
It's October 28th, a Friday, 7 p.m. We are a video game news podcast, broadcasting live on Fridays at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.chipit.net. Also, twitch.tv/DCTF podcast.
That's us. I want to point out that our journalistic integrity is showing. Although actually on the stream they probably can't see that if they're watching.
Nope.
My search bar currently reads, "What is the point of the Nintendo Switch?"
We don't know.
We don't know what it is.
But we've got... we can be found on all sorts of social media.
That is correct.
Such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Steam, and iTunes.
Yeah. We have archives on iTunes, on chipit.net, on YouTube. YouTube one's still a work in progress. I had to bust my butt uploading those. But now we have a new router at my house where we broadcast. It's way better, so uploading those videos will be way less annoying.
Those 5 gigahertz.
Because my old router kept dropping my signal in the middle of uploads, and it would ruin the whole thing.
Woof. But more importantly than any of that social media, if you really want to support the show, we got a Patreon.
Come on, you want to support us?
Yeah.
You know.
Give us that sweet cheddar. Come on.
We stack our cheddar to the ceiling around these points.
But no, our Patreon has all sorts of cool rewards for the different tiers that you can donate in, such as getting bonus content each month. Also getting the ability to vote on different stories we do each week. And it allows us to do more cool stuff. So the Twitch stream, an example of that. But also, we just grabbed all our money and put it towards tickets to PAX East.
Yeah, we did. So we're actually going to be going to like a video game event.
And then we're
like reporting.
Yeah, we're going to interview a bunch of indie developers.
Like real professionals.
Yes. Amazing. What are some of the things we got to talk about this week, Dan?
We're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch and what the point of it is.
Yeah, what is the point?
What is the point? A little bit of Pokemon news as usual, a little bit of VR news as has become the norm, but this VR news is funny.
Okay.
At least I think it's funny.
Sure.
Some news about Bethesda and their hatred of the media, apparently. That's being dramatic, but you'll see. A little story about No Man's Sky, which we haven't talked about in quite some time now. It's been over 2 months, I think, since any real stories about No Man's Sky came out. A little story about Rockstar, some Overwatch news, some Monster Hunter news. And provided we have the time, I'm going to talk a bit about the Dark Souls 3 downloadable content that just came out.
The first DLC.
The first DLC.
Not the last, as I accidentally pointed out on Twitter.
It is worth noting that this one took quite some time to come out compared to a lot of their other DLCs. Especially given that it was the first of multiple. Because Bloodborne's DLC took a while as well, but that was a single DLC pack. But anyway, I digress. Let's start off talking about the Nintendo Switch. And the fact that it has a 6.2-inch 720p multi-touch screen.
So this is an article that broke on Eurogamer on, the 27th?
Yep.
So yesterday, yeah. And apparently Eurogamer, they had some sources. They had some inside sources, like real cool guys, with people that work at Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And those people told them, hey, look at this.
Various employees' dads told them. Check this out.
Yeah, they were like, it's going to be 720p, it's going to be a 6.2-inch screen, and it's going to be a touch screen.
Yes. Which people were speculating about. Because Nintendo's been, you got the DS now, has been a touchscreen forever, and the Wii U also had that.
Mm-hmm.
So the speculation was, is this going to be a touchscreen or not? And apparently it is. However, I feel like it's interesting to note that because this is a hybrid handheld/home console, the touchscreen is only going to be for the on-the-go version.
Yes and no. So the touchscreen will be for the on-the-go version, but the other thing that's supposedly the way this is going to work is those little goof controller nub thingies that can come off. Those have sensors in them, and then there's a sensor in the main unit. So when you put that in its dock, it basically becomes like the Wii sensor bar, and then your controllers.
Okay.
So you can
But
move...
you still can't use it as like a Wii U gamepad for home games.
No.
Because the majority of the system's processing power is in that screen thing you're holding.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't have that functionality, is more what I'm getting.
Oh, okay.
Like, you won't be able to play a game and use on your TV and use that as a touchpad to control the game. Yeah.
You'll just be able to swoop around the screen and touch different parts of it as you would if you had, like, a Wii controller.
Yes.
So I guess that's how they're going to translate the mechanics over.
Yeah.
Which seems a little clunky, but I guess could work. But again, okay, so grain of salt with all this stuff, because this is still leaks, and we don't necessarily know if they're definitely true.
Fact.
The thing is, though, all the other leaks for this console have basically, like, all the leaks about, you know, like, what it was going to do and what it was going to look like.
More or less.
They're basically true.
Correct. Yeah.
And they're saying here that, like, these are the people at Eurogamer trust these sources, and this all sounds like stuff that we kind of expected. Also, with the patents they had filed, this also makes sense. So I think this is probably true. We also heard from Nintendo that on the 13th of January?
Yep.
Yes. There will be a Nintendo Switch media briefing in which they talk about more features of the console.
Yep. January 13th. So, in theory...
That's, January 12th, U.S. time.
Yeah, it's U.S. time. In theory, this will include, or Nintendo said that this will include the launch date and pricing for the system, as well as the lineup of games currently in development. At later dates, they will hold events in U.S. and Europe for invited media partners and consumers to try out the Switch. The public will be able to attend hands-on events around the same time. So, they said we're not going to tell you anything else until next year. That is true, apparently.
But it's going to be right at the beginning of next year.
Right at the beginning of next year, and they're going to tell us, like, everything. It seems like.
Yeah.
Which is smart, because the system's allegedly going to come out, like, 2 months later. It's a really small window they've got to work with there.
Well, also, like, there's so many leaks. They're just leaking. This ship is going down. It's just so many leaks. So, and since they seem to be more or less correct or true,
yes.
By the time the new year rolls around, I think we're just going to know everything there is to know.
I mean, it's
already.
just like Pokemon at this point.
Yeah,
that was leaking all over the place too. The new Pokemon game, Nintendo can't handle it. They got problems. They're a leaky ship.
And NDA problems. But yeah, I don't know about it. It is a long ways away, but
I question their rationale in waiting so long to show us more.
Yeah.
I would be curious to know what their reasoning is. But it seems like their policy at this point is no comment about everything.
Maybe it's not done.
Maybe it's not done. Which brings us to a delightful article from
oh my god, okay.
the 24th.
I just need to rip on this article because it's so dumb.
Where is the Switch's big selling point, Lex? Where is it? I don't see it.
Dan Van Winkle, if that is your real name. And I feel like it's probably not.
Because you write for the Mary Sue.
No, because Van Winkle... Come on.
I mean, there was a person, Rip Van Winkle.
He was famous.
He's so famous.
They're a proud family. How dare we besmirch their name?
The Van Winkles.
But no, so this is an article that I just, I think one of my friends on Facebook posted it. So, like, I had to read it because the title was so alluring. It was, where's the selling point for the Nintendo Switch?
Yeah.
And it talks about how they watched the trailer and they can't understand where the selling point is.
The lack of awareness here is staggering.
It's staggering. So there's one quote I just want to throw in here.
I'm going to assume that it's this part.
Yeah. So they say, brief trailer for the company's next console didn't reveal much in the way of specific information, maybe even less than we thought, but instead opted to show the portable/console concept in action. That alone was a lot to take in, but it left out something important. the console's selling point.
End quote.
So that's like the thesis of this article,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, I don't understand. You just told me what the selling point was.
They spent so much time focused on the selling point of the console that I didn't quite get what the selling point was.
Yeah. No, this is like, it was so funny to read this article because it's such a like, you can't see the forest for the trees kind of thing. Because you read the article, and he really like analyzes stuff about the 3DS, and the Wii U.
Oh, yeah.
And like clearly someone who's researched it and knows what they're talking about, but it's just like they don't see the obvious thing right in front of them.
It's completely gone over their head that the selling point of the console is that it is a hybrid console.
That's the selling point.
That's it.
Because
it is a modular hybrid console with many different functions.
Now, we could have a discussion over whether that is a good selling point or not.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a totally reasonable discussion to have.
But it's unquestionable that that's the selling point.
Obviously. Like, obviously.
How dense do you need to be to not get that? And even if it's something that doesn't appeal to you specifically, I could look at that and say, oh, it's a portable / home console hybrid. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
But I still know that that's the selling point. I don't know.
I just had to take a couple minutes to rip on this article.
Yeah, you got pretty upset when you first found this article. You were like, what do you mean? Excuse me. What do you mean this isn't like... You can't find a selling point for the Nintendo Switch, you idiot!
It was like the 3 minutes of the trailer was just throwing the same selling point in your face repeatedly.
Karen can bring it to your parties. You'll all be drinking and she'll just be like, I got my Nintendo Switch!
Antisocial Karen.
And everyone will be like, Karen, get out of here.
Oh, Karen.
While we're on Nintendo, Pokemon had yet another new trailer. 4-minute trailer this time. The primary point of which was to show off the 3 final evolutions of the starters, which we've already known for some time now. I'm not going to play this video because Nintendo's been getting all sassy on us.
Oh my god, they got so sassy on us last week.
But we already know what they are. The more interesting thing is it does confirm their typings. The cat is fire and dark, so at least he's not fire and fighting. Thank God.
Oh, it was fire and dark. Because you had speculated that. I was sure it was fire and fighting.
Nope, fire dark. The seal is water fairy, as I guessed.
Yeah.
I was assuming that...
Oh my god, can I say real quick?
Yeah,
there are
sure.
amazing memes all over the internet of that scene from The Little Mermaid of her on the rock with the waves splashing, but The Little Mermaid is edited out and it's the seal.
My favorite part about the seal's final evolution is that starters have like an 87.5% chance of being male in Pokemon. So your chances of actually having this thing be a girl are very slim. The interesting typing is actually the owl's Rowlet's final evolution, because I assumed he was going to remain grass flying, but he actually becomes grass ghost.
Oh.
Which is neat.
That is neat.
Because the idea is like, he's always so spooky and he floats around the woods and no one sees him. It's very sneaky. I will say, having seen them in motion, I still like the seal the most in the end. The owl, though, his like movements match up better with the previous forms than I expected them to. Like, just the way he's animated still feels like it fits. I really don't like the cat at all.
No, it's terrible.
Like, I don't like his design. I don't like his animations. Like, he just seems obnoxious to me. And I say that as a person who is presently watching a television show called Lucha Underground about luchador wrestlers in like a pro wrestling capacity and loving it.
Dan, I've been your friend for many years. You never mentioned this show to me. I feel betrayed.
It's a recent occurrence.
You keep talking to me about flip-floppers.
Dude, flip-floppers is also amazing.
But I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear about luchadors.
Lucha Underground, you might enjoy it.
Okay.
It's got a lot of drama. But we'll talk about that another time. I'll talk about that on one of our bonus content things. So if you want to hear me talk about Lucha Underground, how's about you check out that Patreon?
Yeah.
Anyway, the names of these are Decidueye is the name for Rowlet, which is kind of a mouthful, I think.
Yeah.
I get what it's like. He's like a sniper he's like a tree sniper. Mm-hmm. Incineroar.
Ugh.
That's a bad
even
name.
Worse.
It's not even cat-like.
Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, it did.
And Primarina, which is probably the best name.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
They also showed off the other island guardians. We saw that weird lightning guy, like lightning fairy dude, called like Tapu Koko, and now they showed off the other guardians. It says 2 here, but there's totally 3. And the fact that they have their own special Z move, which is really cool. They all have like these like shell or arm protrusions on them that they can pull into their body to become. Then it becomes like a tribal mask kind of thing. And their Z move creates this giant body out of energy, and then they close their mask parts and sit on top of it as the head, and then like attack the enemy. It's very neat. And those 4, all the Tapu characters are guardians of the 4 islands in the Alola region. So all of them are at least pseudo like legendary Pokemon, it would seem. There's a lot of new features coming as well that this showed. Gyms have been dropped, as we knew already, in favor of island challenge trials. Oh, you alright? Get that water going down the wrong way.
Forgot how to drink water.
I'll give you a moment. The island challenge trials, which are going to be more like puzzle, like special encounter type things, where you're fighting like wild Pokemon and moving through environments and like temples and stuff almost. The Pokemon League also does not exist in Alola. There is not a Pokemon League currently constructed, apparently. But in the trailer, it shows it under construction. So presumably, it will be completed as you go through the game. Because it's like a new thing for that region. Also, they showed off a thing called the Battle Tree, where you can climb this big tree and do Pokemon battles, and in these battles you will be fighting against and teaming up with characters from a bunch of the other games. Which is kind of cool. As in that includes
I know who you're
Red and Mr. Gary Oak.
Yeah.
Although he's called Blue in this, because that's his name in the game, but it's Gary Oak.
Yeah.
So they're making a return too. They're noticeably older in it, but like I think that's awesome, because back in Silver, the fact that you could find Red at the end of the game and fight him and he was super strong was like the coolest thing ever. So now they're bringing him back again and he's even older and probably even crazier. That's the best. I have a little theory that the Battle Tree stuff is to be there because they're testing trainers to see who gets to be the new Elite Four for this new Pokemon League. I think that'd be a cool idea, but I don't know. Given how they've been shaking up stuff in these titles already, wouldn't it be neat if you could be one of the Elite Four?
Wouldn't it be neat if you could be Gary?
Wouldn't it be neat if you could be Gary? I just want to play through as Gary. So yeah, the game continues to have a lot of cool stuff to show off. There's Red. He's older. He looks mad. It's gonna kick your butt. So yeah, that game comes out November 18th. We're getting really close. If you downloaded the demo and played it, I did. Apparently, if you go back to it after some time has passed since you beat the demo, more new things happen in it.
Oh.
So if you got that demo day one and played through it and thought you were done, try reloading it and see what happens. Because apparently there's more events and you can get more items that transfer to the main game.
Ooh.
If you play it a week after you first did and 2 weeks after. So that's cool. VR headsets are the wave of the future. And according to this article from Polygon on the 26th, HP, Dell, Lenovo, and more are now making their own VR headsets.
This is such a facepalm article.
Like I said at the beginning of the show, we have a VR story. A funny VR story.
Okay, so if you're not a
Asus and Acer, they're going to do it.
If you have not listened to some of our past episodes, we've talked about VR a lot in the past, and one of the things that's come up multiple times is the fact that VR is not selling well.
Right.
Basically, all the people who were really interested in VR bought it when it came out in the spring or the beginning of the summer. And after that early adopter wave, sales just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And
we've got the Vive, the Oculus, and now PlayStation VR.
Now, we had reported on how people are, at least reviewers, are digging PlayStation VR. So
I actually watched some streams of it.
Oh, really?
Well, which obviously, I didn't get the VR experience, but I watched some people that I watched Let's Plays of streaming it, and it looked great.
That's cool.
It looked like it worked really well.
So, I'm still waiting to see some of the sales numbers on that. But we know for most VR headsets, no one's buying them.
No. They found their market, but that's it. Like, it's not an expanding market. And I feel like there's not many people out there who are going to bother buying more than one VR headset.
No, why? Why would you? Also, because like all of these companies that are listed here, HP, Dell, Lenovo, Asus, and Acer, those are all like the things you buy, like because you can't afford the nicer one. Like, I have an Acer monitor because like I couldn't afford a nicer monitor. I
have an Asus motherboard. It works pretty good.
Oh, okay. I know
that's like an internal computer component.
Like HP and Dell, totally like the
that's your budget laptops.
Yeah. So
Lenovo.
So it seems like these would be budget VR headsets, but and I get that maybe that's where they're going with this, because they're trying to be like, oh, people aren't buying headsets because they're too expensive, so we'll make cheaper ones.
Right. Well, they say right here that these will retail at $299, and will boast inside-out tracking, which allows the headsets to track users' movements without any additional sensors. Which to me reads, they're not going to track your movements very well.
No, they're going to do it really badly.
Given how because what we know about PlayStation VR, the Vive, and the Oculus Rift, which have been struggling with getting it all to read your movements correctly, we've learned that you need more than that.
Yeah.
Like, you do. To have, like, interesting, immersive experiences. There'll be zero need for a separate room. It's like, then your VR experiences are not going to be that great.
Yeah. I mean, it's just this thing where you have...
It's budget VR.
Yeah, they're making cheaper VR headsets that are supposed to be able to do all of the stuff the expensive ones can do, except better. But I'm like, no. But if you're using cheaper parts, it's not going to be better. It's going to be worse.
This all seems like part of Microsoft's push for VR right now. This article says also, Microsoft has their own similar device in production, that being the HoloLens.
Oh yeah, we always forget about the HoloLens.
There's no consumer edition of it announced yet, but for developer people can get it for $3,000.
Oh, that's steep.
But I mean, if you're a dev,
yeah, no, it makes sense.
That makes sense. You're basically buying a dev kit for this thing.
And it's interesting because, like, I always thought the HoloLens like had more potential than a lot of the VR headsets.
Yeah.
Because
it also, I will stress, they never confirmed that they were making these headsets for gameplay, like video gaming purposes either.
What?
Yeah.
But that's what the market is.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'd be surprised if they don't, but it wasn't confirmed at this event that that's what they were specifically gearing towards.
I will also point out that in this picture that we've got up, the headsets seem to be, though they are not explicitly, but they seem to be plugged into a laptop.
Yes.
That must be a powerful laptop.
Well, of course, it's a Dell.
So it seems like they're implying that these can work on laptops, which means, again, you're not going to get a solid frame rate out of these. Mm-hmm. They're going to make people sick. They're going to be bad headsets.
It's going to be like the one that you can get that you can plug your Android phone into.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, it's okay, but it's not great, and it's not on the level of the other ones. Yeah, I question what the market for these things is.
Now,
what is the selling point of these headsets? Because unlike the Nintendo Switch, I can't see it as much.
Well, no, it's that they're cheap.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But I think we reported on this when headsets were first coming out.
Yeah.
But China already has this market cornered. Because they're the ones who made all the cheaper versions of those headsets that actually could work almost as well as the Oculus or the Vive. And the reason why they were so much cheaper is just because they're manufactured in China using really cheap parts.
Right.
And they didn't have to worry about, I don't know, all of the other expenditures.
Everything else.
Yeah. I think if you want a budget VR headset, you can already buy one from China. So there's really,
as long as you trust it to not explode,
it'll be fine. Samsung wasn't the one making those.
No, I know, that's Korean phones.
But the other thing about these is if they don't want to make them for games, like this is obviously, it's being reported by Polygon, so we're looking at it through that context. But if they were trying to market these for like medical stuff, that would be fine.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where the future of VR actually lies, and not in gaming. Like, I just saw a story the other day about people who are paralyzed using VR to, like trick their bodies into thinking that their limbs still work, and then like finding ways for to remap those signals. Like, originally, I think the tech was connected to like these robotic legs, which is pretty cool. So you mean the end
goal being like via prosthetic fixing?
Well, that was the original intent, was that the VR headset makes you look down and see that you're standing up, even though you're not really.
And the idea is to attempt to trigger neurological signals.
Yeah, because there's also one of those goofy hair nets attached to you that's reading all your brainwaves. And then there was like there were motors hooked up to your legs so that when your brainwave would send the signal to move your leg, it would move the motor and then have you move forward. And that was their original intent. But they found after a year of those trials that the neural pathways from the brain to the legs were actually starting to repair, because it was tricking the body into healing them.
Oh, interesting.
And people were actually regaining some movement and sensation in their legs. Not a lot, like very little.
So perhaps that could be used to, like, cure paralysis in the distant future.
So in the distant future,
that's a long.
It was a very small step, but still really interesting.
But obviously, that'd be what they'd be going for.
Yeah,
as an end goal.
So, and I've seen other like medical related VR stories as well.
But when will I be able to play Gears of War 4 on my VR headset?
When can I see Marcus Phoenix get killed as an old man on my VR headset?
If I'm quadriplegic, can I still play Batman Arkham VR?
Well, you can play it on the Oculus, because that doesn't have any of the motion sensors, so it's fine.
But anyway, you're probably right about that VR will probably end up going towards more important things.
More important things than gaming. Like, don't get me wrong, I want a really cool AAA title VR game to come out.
Absolutely.
We've talked about that in the past on the show as well, but it hasn't happened yet. I don't really see it happening.
Not soon. Bethesda!
Oh, Bethesda, you suck so bad.
I think Bethesda stories are often hit or miss, as far as, like, being a good thing or not.
Yeah.
This one's firmly in the miss category.
Oh, yes. So this is I'm citing an article from Forbes from the 25th.
Yes.
That's talking, that is an opinion piece. Super opinion piece. But the main story behind the opinion, is that Bethesda announced that they are going to change their policy regarding review copies of games. So they're not going to give out review copies anymore. It's going to be like day one when the game launches. That's when customers get to buy it, and that's when reviewers get to buy it.
It says reviewers get their game the day before.
One day before?
One day before.
Aww.
Yeah, Skyrim Special Edition comes out Friday. Reviewers get a code on Thursday.
So this is, it's bad. This article is about how it's bad.
And if you don't know why it's bad, the basic gist of it is you as a consumer should want to have reviews available to you more ahead of time than that. Especially in the climate of gaming right now where pre-ordering is such a big thing.
Yeah.
Because you as a consumer hopefully care that the $60 game you're buying is worth $60. And if you don't know, if a developer gets their review copy the day before, they don't have time to write an adequate review before you run out at midnight to pick up your new game.
Especially if it's a game like, if it's an RPG.
Yes.
Because most RPGs are more than 30 hours.
Would you say a game like Skyrim Special Edition?
More than 30 hours. And if you have 24 hours to review it,
even if you play nonstop,
that's kind of a problem. You don't really have time.
And nobody is going to see your review prior to going to pick up their game.
Yeah.
Or at least not nearly as many people. And normally reviewers get copies of games enough ahead of time that they can put out a review shortly before it's released. Or right when it releases. This is also happening for Dishonored 2, apparently.
Yes, and it happened. So Skyrim Special Edition, Dishonored 2 are the ones we know they're doing it with, but it's probably going to be their policy from here on out. The reason why they're citing, or one of the reasons why they're citing,
the terrible reason why,
is because this is what they did for Doom. And Doom ended up being great, and it didn't hurt their sales at all to not have early reviews. In fact, when you crunch a lot of the numbers here, and I'm not going to cite my sources because I'm not a real journalist, but when you crunch a lot of the numbers here, it's, from what I've read, it is that reviews typically will only hurt games. Like, there is a chance, and this happens a lot with indie titles, where if it gets a lot of fantastic reviews or like let's play type stuff, that can boost sales significantly, like for stuff like Undertale, right? But with a AAA title, since everybody already knows about it, you don't have to worry about exposure. And the only thing the reviews are going to do is potentially tell people the game is bad, which will only hurt sales.
The problem here being, what if the game is bad?
Yes, exactly. Like, Doom was a fluke because it was actually really good.
Doom was a fluke because, that game was great. Skyrim Special Edition...
that's a remake.
It's barely even a remake.
So
it's Skyrim... with graphics mods applied to it.
Pretty much, yes.
Like, that's all it is.
I think the real test of this will be Dishonored 2, right?
Yes.
Because it's actually a new game.
And it's like, you can say all you want, like, oh, well, like, it'll be a good game anyway, like, but we don't know that. That's the problem. Is that if you're setting this precedent, this is a free pass for anybody to just be like, oh, our game's not very good. We wouldn't want any reviews to tell people that ahead of time.
Yeah.
So we'll just withhold review copies.
Yeah.
Movies do this too. There's like review embargoes on certain movies and stuff, aren't there?
I don't think it's as bad with movies.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, movies are way cheaper. You have to pay $60.
The most you're going to spend, depending where you live, is probably like $20.
Oof.
I mean, some places are expensive.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But even so, that's a third of the price of like a AAA title game. So it is a bit different in that sense. Like, you waste your money seeing a movie, it's a lot less money than wasting your money buying a AAA title. Especially given return policies.
Oh, yeah.
At most places. GameStop being the biggest one where, oh, you bought a new game? Is it out of the shrink wrap? Well, then you can't return it.
You know what this also encourages?
Trade it in for half of the price.
Ugh.
In store credit.
Ugh. This also encourages, or at least gives more of a pass to, the ridiculous day one patches that we see all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you're really worried about, like, if your game basically doesn't work day one, like the morning of day one, and you hand out a bunch of review copies ahead of time and those people play it and the game doesn't work and then there's all these negative reviews about that, that hurts your sales because your game wasn't actually done like it should have been prior to release. Whereas if everyone's playing it day one, they're gonna probably download the patch, and then they're gonna... It's just... So it encourages the game devs to not have the game working day one, which is really annoying, because that's already super bad. There's also... Jim Sterling did a video on this, which is funny because a lot of his videos are really funny. But he, because he is such a top brass gaming press, he has sources inside EA, and apparently he talked to them, or maybe it was Activision, but he talked to them about it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, they're like supposedly part of some of the reasoning behind this is there are certain video game reviewers who are referred to in that company as wild card reviewers, who are people who typically do not work for publications like IGN or GameSpot, who aren't just going to be like, oh, new AAA title, 10 out of 10, great game. But they're more people like Jim Sterling or other people that have big YouTube followings.
You mean people who actually critically appraise a game?
Yeah.
Based on its quality?
Yes. So people who have big followings but will actually critically appraise a game, those are referred to as wild cards. Because
they're crazy.
Yeah.
They'll find all the problems with your shitty game, and you can't stop them.
You can't stop, but they are stopping them because they're stopping them from getting those early copies.
This article also points out that, like, this is also different from releasing your game, but not letting reviews go out until the day before.
Mm-hmm.
because you're not giving the reviewers any time to do what they're doing,
Yes.
which we already touched upon.
Yeah.
Because it has been in the past that games have been given out and reviewers have been able to play it and write a review, but then not release that review until shortly before the game releases. And even that is better than not giving the reviewer the game until it's about to release.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
But yeah, this article breaks down like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But mostly it's just like, okay, consumers are getting less information now,
Yes.
which is bad. But there is actually a really easy way to get to prevent this, or make it not such a big deal. And that's something we've talked about before on the show, and it is don't pre-order games and don't buy them day one. You shouldn't do either of the things, partly because of that, but also because, like I was saying earlier, all those day one patches, like if you get a game day one, it's not going to be playable. Or there's a good chance it's not going to be playable until day 2 or day 3 anyway, so why not just buy it then?
It depends on the games you're buying too, though.
Yeah.
I feel like most of that's a good rule of thumb with like AAA titles.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of smaller releases that, you get what you get. It is definitely a different situation depending on the games. Indie titles as well are usually more complete when they release. Or at least complete enough to be, like, functional.
But yeah, so
it's all just a big mess anyway.
There's also this weird thing where people are like in the past, I almost understood like pre-ordering and day of purchasing, because much fewer games were distributed digitally, right? Like you usually had to get the hard copy, and like if it was a very popular AAA title, those copies could run out. Like that would totally happen. But now we live in an age of digital distribution, and all the consoles are connected to the internet all the time anyway. Whatever, just buy it digitally. It's gonna be fine. You don't even need to worry about them running out, because it can't happen.
Yeah. Well, before we move on, I'm gonna say one thing about Skyrim Special Edition, and that's it looks really pretty. It definitely looks really pretty. But if you're on the fence about buying it, if you haven't bought it yet, you're still thinking about it, it's still the same game. If you thought the quests in Skyrim got boring, it's the same quests.
Yeah, no, I mean...
it's not... If you thought that the physics engine and the combat stuff in the game wasn't that interesting, it's the same.
There is almost
better.
There is almost no reason to buy it at this point, because if you're PC Master Race, you already can get all the mods to make it look just as nice.
Or better.
And if you're on a console, now there's mods on those.
Although I bet they're not going to do graphical improvement mods.
I thought that I know that like there's that whole weird thing with PlayStation where you can't have out-of-game assets. Like textures and junk, I assume. But I assume you can do that on the Xbox. I haven't looked it up because I haven't played Skyrim on the Xbox, and I haven't seen what the mod stuff is.
Yeah.
But like,
I was always in the assumption the mod stuff was just going to be like quests and items and things.
Well, that's true, but like the easiest, at least on PC, the mods you see the most of and the easiest ones to find are all graphical upgrade mods. So you'd think that even if like that it would be flooded with those if they were allowed. There's something else I wanted to say about that. Oh, I saw an article, and this like sort of relates. It relates to the Skyrim mod thing. I saw an article earlier this week that was about how the Skyrim mods for the Xbone can't be any bigger than 5 gigs, and the Skyrim mods for the PS4 can't be any bigger than 1 gig.
Really?
Now, that's not as big a deal, I guess, on the PS4, because since you can't have out-of-game assets...
They're likely to be smaller.
Yeah, they're likely to be smaller anyway. But, like, for the Xbone, you're not going to get any of those huge Quest mods. Because, I mean, I guess you get a decently big Quest mod. I don't know how much you can fit into 5 gigs for that game.
I'm not really sure what the going rate is for that kind of thing.
But, so they are limited in that way, which is kind of interesting.
Let's talk about No Man's Sky. I haven't done this in a while.
Oh, goodness.
So No Man's Sky, the development Twitter account and emails were allegedly hacked. This is a story from... I think this happened... Did this happen yesterday?
I think it did happen yesterday.
No, it was very early this morning.
Oh, okay.
On the 28th. At 5:48 a.m., Hello Games at Hello Games tweeted out, No Man's Sky was a mistake.
Was a mistake.
Following the footsteps of the great Hayao Miyazaki, who has gone on record as being quoted saying, anime was a mistake.
I love those memes. Those are great.
Anime was the only mistake bigger than his son.
Oh
no, Goro Miyazaki! He'll never love you.
I mean, he is just an inferior director. This is like a much worse director.
This is getting harsh. I'm sorry, Goro.
But, yeah, no, so this was, No Man's Sky's Twitter account was hacked.
Yes.
Or I should say Hello Games' Twitter account was hacked.
Yeah.
And then they just tweeted things like, oh no, it was a mistake. That game wasn't really good, we admit it. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, hackers, you're sad. You're sad people. Because you just, like, okay, you don't like the game. You were disappointed with it. Fine.
It comes a little late.
Oh, it's
People
real late.
People have not liked the game for like 2 months now.
People had forgotten about
the game already.
Yeah. Why? Come on.
I will bring up, I get, like, I don't get going through all of this, like, going through the trouble of hacking the Twitter and posting stuff like this, but I do get frustration towards Hello Games. I was very forgiving of them at first, because I read all of the stuff that they said of, like, we're going to plan on adding this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and I wanted to have faith in them, but then they fell off the face of the earth. The game came out after, like, a week after the game released, and people were being pretty negative about it. Since then, there has been no communication from Hello Games about continued support of No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
None. Like, one way or the other. Which I don't like. I don't think that that's fair to the consumer, regardless of whether they like your game or not. It's especially not fair to the people who do like your game.
Yeah.
And want to see you, like, continue to improve it. Like, even if now those plans have been dropped to improve the game because of returns or something, or big problems with sales, you should say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's ridiculous to just leave everyone hanging like that. And I think, I'm not going to say Sean Murray has anything to answer for with it, but more communication would be nice in light of everything else. And I don't know if he's been gagged by Sony. I don't know if Hello Games themselves are just choosing to not say anything.
I mean, after Sony threw them under the bus, as we reported on, like, a month ago.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't great either. But the game's player base dropped by 90% within 2 weeks of its PC release.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like nobody plays it anymore.
That is a crazy number.
But it's ridiculous. Like, they put out a couple little patches, and then we've had nothing to fix some bugs, and all the bugs aren't even fixed. Yeah.
Is it as bad as Pokemon Go? Actually not, because recently Pokemon Go has had a bunch of updates.
It has.
It's still kind of junk, but it's a lot better.
Functions better.
Yeah. They finally got off their butt and started doing
tracking.
It. Yeah.
But oh well. Evolve. Speaking of creators no longer working on their games.
Yeah, no, that actually segues really nicely.
Yeah.
But this is a sad story. From Tuesday? Thursday? I pulled up the wrong article. It is Tuesday, okay. Tuesday, Kotaku reported, and I think they were one of the first ones to report this, that Evolve's creators are no longer working on the game. This is Turtle Rock Studios.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't remember Evolve, that's probably a lot of you, Evolve was an, what would it be, an asymmetric team shooter?
It's the Western Monster Hunter.
Yes. With only one monster.
It's literally... Well, that's how it works.
That's
how regular Monster Hunter is. You fight one big monster.
Yeah, but you fight multiple different big monsters. You just don't fight them all at once.
But you do that in this too. There's
sort
like 5 monsters.
Yeah, there were 5. That's true. I think Monster Hunter might have a larger catalog than that. Slightly. But no, the way it would work is you have 4 human players going up against a monster who is also played by a person.
Yes.
And the idea is that as you fight it, it could go around and like eat animals and jump.
It'll evolve!
And it would evolve and gain different abilities, so there were some like RPG elements to it and stuff. And you could like customize your own loadouts for your guys who are fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting. It was an interesting concept. But as we talked about, and I think a lot of reviewers talked about, it felt like the multiplayer for a single player game, but there was no single player game in there. Content. And like when I played it, and I played it briefly after it went free to play recently, and I actually really enjoyed it for like 10 minutes because I was like, oh cool, again, this seems like a really cool multiplayer feature, and I really like these characters and the monster and the world, and it made me want to play a single player campaign of this game, but that doesn't exist, so it didn't hold my interest. But no, so they went free to play. I don't remember exactly when that happened. I want to say like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. It was like relatively recently. And when they did, their player base like boosted significantly because they had been like under 1,000 players. They might have been hovering around like the 300 to 500 mark, or so it was speculated. This was in July that they went free to play, and they cracked Steam's top 20 after doing so. So there were a lot of people downloading it and a lot of people playing it after it went free to play. I did. And it was fun, and it ran really well, and there were some microtransactions, but they weren't annoying. Like, you didn't have to deal with them. Now, apparently it wasn't enough. I don't know if they've had a more significant drop-off since they went free to play. But Turtle Rock announced in a very, vague statement that they were no longer working on the game. Now, that obviously means...
It's the last day they can work on the game.
Yeah, So that tells us obviously that Turtle Rock's not going to produce more content. But what it doesn't tell us is, will there be more content produced by a smaller studio that this is just being shifted to, or is the game going to go down in a month?
2K's posted on their blog because apparently 2K ended their contract.
Yes, which is what seemed to force Turtle Rock to do this.
And then 2K on their blog basically said, they're not going to work on the game anymore, but support for the servers will continue for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's not a pleasant phrase.
Yeah.
Because that could mean any time.
Yep.
Those could get shut down.
However much they can foresee.
Now, this article notes that this is the second time in a row that Turtle Rock has had to leave a game of theirs behind in the hands of a publisher, because they were the guys who created Left 4 Dead. And then Valve grabbed it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Huh.
All right.
So I'm sorry, Turtle Rock. They try really hard.
They do.
And another thing about that game, it's beautiful.
Oh, graphically, yeah. It's gorgeous.
And it's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
It's just and I kind of think the same.
It needs more.
It just needed more. But so I'm sorry for the people at Turtle Rock who now don't have that source of income. That sucks.
Yeah, it stinks.
And hopefully, I don't know, Evolve will continue to evolve in a way that is beneficial to it. Puns!
Rockstar hates crime.
But they love it, though.
No, but they hate it.
Oh, I thought they loved it. That's why they make all those games about it.
So apparently, GTA Online... there were a lot of people who, via exploits and mods, got tons and tons of money in their GTA Online bank accounts. And on Tuesday, Kotaku reported that these players logged into their game to find that they had most of their money taken away. As the screenshot says, God, how much money is that? Oh my goodness.
It is,
thousands, millions, billions. $117,944,768,843.
God.
Your GTA dollars.
Your GTA dollars. Your schmeckles.
Your schmeckles. Your GTA schmeckles. You can get 70 schmeckles! Or you can use your plumbus twice a day! I think that's from Rick and Morty.
I think it is. So, no, I mean, these were people who were cheating to get more in-game currency.
As people do.
And Rockstar decided that they were just going to bring the hammer down. My assumption is that they had been planning this for a while and trying to get software implemented that could identify who all these people were, and then once they had that finished, they were just like, initialize, and took it all off. They have this question and answer thing, which is probably a good thing to quote, that they put on their website, I think, on the support page, a Rockstar's support page, which they dubbed this taking off of stuff a purge. It's great. But, okay, so question, : why did I receive an alert when logging into GTA Online saying that illegitimately gained in-game money was removed from my shared bank? ? Answer, : to keep the gameplay environment fair, we have removed illegitimately gained in-game money from player accounts. If you received an alert saying that your shared bank balance was adjusted, that is because you have illegitimate funds in your account.
Why did my cheat money go away?
Because you cheated.
Because you cheated, asshole.
Yeah.
Why can't I play Overwatch and cheat? This isn't fair, Blizzard. I can't believe you banned me for cheating.
Oh yeah, we did a story on that.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even banning these people. They're just
oh my god, I bought a second copy of the game and I still can't play. What the hell, Blizzard?
Because you're a cheater.
Because you're a cheating scumbag. I can't believe I can't play the game I bought the way I want to play it. You're playing with other people, dick.
Yeah, so that's the big thing here, right? If you're playing single-player mods on this game, whatever, you're fine. Go for it. It's okay.
But it's an online multiplayer game.
Yeah.
You are affecting other people's experience of the game.
You are making it worse. Because you are just, throwing your rocket launchers everywhere.
You are a selfish asshole if you do this.
Now, it's funny because...
Rockstar did go on to say that they only removed illegitimate money.
Yeah.
Money you gained from legitimate real money purchases and things like that.
Stayed in your account.
Yeah. So if you cheated from time to time, you would not lose all of your money also as a result.
You're not going to lose your house, you're just going to lose your yacht.
Yeah. Oh, my virtual yacht!
There was a really...
This sucks. Fuck you, Rockstar.
There's a really funny video I saw the other day about a bunch of people using a mod to try and sink a yacht using just the physics in the game. So they just put as many people as they could on the yacht to try and get it to weigh down enough to sink. And they did it. And it was great.
It's great.
Yeah, so I love how... What is his name? Carbine King... when he lost a bunch of money. He's the one who lost $117 billion. And he tweeted just a bunch of middle fingers at Rockstar atop...
Boo-hoo, Carbine King! Oh, Muffin!
And hey, if there's anything I know about Carbine, it's that he always gets shot in the head. Or no, wait, that was Carmine.
Carmine. In Gears of War. Okay. Close, though.
Close.
Poor Carmine.
He didn't deserve that. Just have a generic helmet man.
Generic helmet man. They're always the coolest.
So, yeah, I don't know. This is, I think, if anything, Rockstar was being pretty nice about this.
Yeah.
Because they didn't just ban these people, which is like, Blizzard and what was it, League of Legends also did. It's just, like,
although it is slightly different, because it's like cheating to get money in this game just means you get more stuff faster. Whereas, like, cheating in those are direct, like, head-to-head multiplayer shooter / MOBAs.
So it's a bigger deal if you cheat.
Yeah. It's more directly affecting things than this.
But I thought it was funny just because, like, the people who play GTA are... Because the thing you want to do in GTA is break the law.
Yes.
So now GTA is penalizing you for breaking the law.
For breaking the law outside of the game's constraints.
Yeah.
Speaking of Overwatch... the third competitive season is coming earlier than expected, with further tweaks to the skill rating system.
Does this mean Blizzard is based out of New England? Because I know our season came a little earlier than expected.
Oh, don't talk to me about the snow outside. I don't even want to look at May right now. Season 2 is currently ongoing for Overwatch's competitive play, but they're already prepping for the third one. Season 3 is going to start on December 1st, and Season 2 is ending November 24th. So there will be only a week of downtime between seasons, which is shorter than they were originally going to do.
Oh, geez, yeah.
They have also said that minor changes are going to be that there will be an in-game countdown timer to show how much time's left between seasons. And as it has been subject to revisions already, including like things for a skill rating system, rewards and penalties for stuff, Season 2 dropped the just straight number skill ratings in favor of having tiers like bronze, silver, gold.
Oh, that's cool.
Platinum, diamond. That's where it is right now. Although they've talked about since then that they did not. There are more players in Gold and Platinum League. I placed into Platinum. Gold and Platinum League than they wanted there to be. So there's very few in Bronze and Silver, and there's very few above Platinum. They wanted a more even spread than they got.
Okay.
So they're like looking into the algorithms for it again, and they're going to be tweaking that, as well as what the problem is. A lot of people would place into, say, Diamond or something. They placed really high, but then they would go on a hard losing streak and get dumped down in the tiers really bad and be like, oh my god, this is crap. Why do I keep losing points? And Blizzard basically said, that's because you shouldn't have been placed into Diamond in the first place.
Oh, dang.
So basically Blizzard's like, if y'all are mad because your skill rating went down super hard because you were getting matched against teams way better than you, that's because you shouldn't have been placed that high in the first place. So what I learned is I probably shouldn't have placed into Platinum when I did.
Oh.
I probably should have been in Gold.
Don't sell yourself short, Dan.
No, because mine dropped. Mine dropped like that. So I'm like, I guess I'm just Gold. Just humble Gold.
Just humble Gold.
So they're going to be taking into account where your skill rating was at the end of Season 2 when figuring out your new skill rating at the beginning of Season 3.
Oh.
They're not going to wipe the slate clean. They're going to bring that in so that when you're doing your placement matches, you will already be being placed with players of a similar skill level in theory, and as a result, your placement will be more accurate this season.
Okay.
We'll see if it works. People are really salty about it, but that's to be expected with anything that has to do with changing how it works. On Thursday, in the morning, for us, it was nighttime for Japan, Nintendo had a Monster Hunter Direct. They said specifically beforehand that we are not announcing anything for the Switch, and they did not.
They did not.
They instead announced a new 3DS game, which is the expanded version of Cross, known in the West as Monster Hunter Generations, known as Monster Hunter Double Cross.
Yeah!
Which, I'm going to just say, you can go back through the archives, is a title that I said back when Cross got announced. I was like, they're going to do a G-Rank version, it's going to be called Monster Hunter Double Cross.
Of course.
And they did it. It's not Monster Hunter Cross G or any stupid crap like that. Double Cross. No word on a Western release yet. The game's coming out March 18th in Japan, right around the same time as the Switch, probably. And it includes 2 new hunting styles on top of the existing 4, G-Rank quests, more returning monsters, at least 1 brand new monster. You can transfer your save data from the base game into the expanded version, so you can get right into that higher-up content. Yada, yada, yada. It's the typical Monster Hunter expansion game. So, I hope it comes out in the West, although I'm still not... I'm not at the end of Generations yet, so they can take their time. But it's cool. Dark Souls 3's first DLC pack came out this week on Tuesday, the 25th. Ashes of Ariandel. I bought it the day it came out. I did everything but beat the last boss of it.
Okay.
The day it came out.
Okay.
I beat the last boss yesterday. So the big complaint, a lot of people have been complaining about this DLC saying that it's bad. I disagree. I don't think it's bad. I think it is underwhelming.
Okay.
The environments in it are really nice. The new enemy types are very cool. There are only 2 boss fights, one of which feels fairly phoned in, unfortunately. But the other, the final boss fight of it, is probably one of the best Souls game boss fights, period. It's really impressive. It's a 3-phased fight that you have to do all in a row, and each phase is drastically different. The music changes as the phases go on. The environment you're fighting in changes as well. It's a very cool, dynamic fight. The new items and spells and stuff you can get in are great. There's a really cool new armor set that I love in it. 2 of them, actually. So, it's got a lot of really good content in it. But when stacked up to the DLCs they put out already in the past, I can't help but feel like it's lacking. And the fact that I beat it in one sitting, practically, was also weird for me.
They set the bar too high.
Basically. That's pretty much what it is. Because, like, you look at Old Hunters, which is phenomenal. The DLC for Dark Souls 1 was very good. And all 3 DLCs for Dark Souls 2 were, like, the best stuff in Dark Souls 2. And, like, all the DLCs had their failings, but all of them had much more content than this one, it felt like. So even where the quality exists in this DLC, for the most part, there's not enough of it compared to the rest. Especially given that the Lost Crowns DLCs for Dark Souls 2 were only $10, and any single one of those has more content than this.
Oof.
And this is $15.
Oof.
And Old Hunters was $20, but Old Hunters has the most content of any of these DLC packs. Period. So, a rare miss. Perhaps losing their touch as the series kind of fades away. Given that 3 is the last Souls game we're going to be getting for a while.
Yeah.
Second DLC's due out at the beginning of 2017. We'll see if they can kind of bring it back with that. I give it a strong rating of good, not great.
Okay.
And perhaps a bit overpriced.
Yeah.
For what you get. It's been getting mixed reviews, too.
Yeah,
it's been getting a lot of,
that.
like, fair to... Some people are like, it's great, and some people are like, it's okay.
Polygon seemed to like it quite a bit.
Polygon gave it
like
an 8.
7 or an 8? Yeah.
They gave it an 8. I've seen a lot of 7s, I've seen a few 6s. No 9s or 10s, really, as far as the DLC goes, but... what are you gonna do? What games we got coming out?
Well, today, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 came out on Windows. Also, Carnival Games VR. I know everybody was waiting for that one.
Ah, yeah!
Shovelware for the VR. Lovely.
It begins.
But the actual big game that came out today was Titanfall 2.
And Skyrim Special Edition, I guess.
I guess. Again, it's just a remaster of Skyrim. Yeah. It's the same game. But Titanfall 2 for Windows, PS4, and Xbone.
Yep. Next Tuesday on the 4th, or no, is that next Friday? That's next Friday.
I don't know how dates work.
Yeah, next Friday on the 4th, got Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Oh, we can see Jon Snow tell us things.
A new Mario Party game, Mario Party Star Rush. Football Manager 17.
Wow, it's coming out for Linux.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
That's about all there is.
So
not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. I mean, there was one big AAA title.
Can I point out how much I love the title of this Sword Art Online game? Hollow Realization. It's like when you're watching Sword Art Online and you have the hollow realization that the show is terrible.
Oh, burn! Dang!
Shots fired. Sword Art Online fans, come at me.
So, yeah, it's not going to be until like the middle of November we're going to start seeing a lot of those big holiday releases.
Yeah. We're getting there, though.
But we're getting there. We're going to report on them.
Sure are.
But thank you guys for listening. We have been Lex and Dan of Don't Copy That Floppy, a video game news podcast broadcasting live on chipit.net and twitch.tv/DCTF podcast Fridays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on all sorts of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, iTunes, Steam. You can also support us on Patreon.
Yes.
Which would be cool. What else? I feel like there might be...
We have a stream.
Oh, we have a stream coming up this weekend. Yes.
This Sunday, starting at 6 p.m., we're going to be playing Medieval.
The
PlayStation 1 classic. Medieval for the spooky season.
Sir Daniel.
That game's Halloween as crap.
Oh,
man.
It totally
It's so Halloween. It's great. Lex will probably be late to the stream.
But when I do get there, I'm going to bring cake.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So
you know what I might do when we start the stream? I might play some other stuff for a little bit, because I really want you to be there for the beginning of Medieval, because there's a lot of good stuff at the beginning that I think you're really going to appreciate.
Okay. No, I believe it.
So maybe...
Because I've never played Medieval, and I've only seen people play a little bit of it.
There's some great stuff at the start that I think you'd really enjoy.
All right.
Because you're into that. You're into those older kind of goofy games.
Yeah.
And it's got such good writing. It's so good. So maybe I'll find something to kind of occupy the stream with until you get there.
But definitely try to check out some of that. And
we'll be streaming with our brand new capture card.
A brand new capture card.
We got an actual, real nice capture card.
Which we were able to get from donations from viewers like you.
Yes. I paid it forward a little bit, but we're going to get reimbursed. Thanks to our Patreon backers. You guys are the best.
And, So check that out. Oh, and if you can't tune in live to the stream or to any of the podcasts,
we'll have an archive.
We have archives, so check us out on iTunes for the podcasts, and YouTube for the podcasts and the game streams.
Yes. I guess that's about it for this week. Thank you very much for listening. And until next time, remember,
don't copy that floppy.